Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Happy April. It is April 2nd. We made it to almost spring of this year of 2022, and things are looking good so far in this April. Well, for the most part. For the most part, as we look on it in the eyes of COVID, and we think about where we were a year ago and how we were locked down 2 years ago, and so we have a lot to be grateful for. Of course, there's a lot going on in the world, but when we think about the past two Aprils and what we've been through, last year, this time, we were in the midst of getting vaccines. I think I got my vaccine a year ago, my first one, two weeks ago, a year ago. And then I got my second vaccine and then booster. I've been told I may have to get another booster. Good morning, Karen. How are you this morning? Happy April.
Happy April to you, sweetie. And it's good to hear my voice because earlier this week I was struggling. I had the flu, not the flu, the flu.
I didn't
Because
know
it
you had
just,
the flu. I thought you just had a cold.
no, it was the flu. Because
Oh,
it knocked me the heck out. And thankfully, I had taken a COVID test just to make sure. And but it truly knocked me out. I'm just grateful that when you're able to heal, you can heal in the midst of your own comfort, if that makes any sense. So I'm just grateful to God that, hey, I'm getting better slowly but surely. But again, happy April to our listening audience. This is the month of wisdom, and let's always be wise during this month.
and this is the month where we celebrate Jesus' resurrection. And I
Yes.
know that many of us are in the season of Lent fasting. And so we're just keeping everyone in prayer about that. We have a special guest coming on in a few minutes. But before that, you see our colors in the background. We want to continue to pray for Ukraine. And let
Yes.
me just say this, um, kudos to all of the people from countries everywhere who are coming to support the refugees from Ukraine. People who are setting up kitchens, who are setting up shops, who are giving people food and clothing at their own expense. And so I can't, I'm watching CNN and seeing people fly by with their own utensils and their own things, and just setting up shop and helping people, because there are places where there's no gas, there's no electricity, there's no food and no water, and people are coming to help. So I just want to give kudos, of course, finding those resources where you can give. The Red Cross, I believe the United Way, are taking donations. So finding, for those of you who want to donate and help, who of course can't fly to Poland, give some money so that you can help the people of Ukraine, because this war is not going anywhere. It doesn't look anytime soon. Putin is being very stubborn. And let me say this. Let me give a shout out to Joe Biden, President Joe Biden. Excuse me, you all have a cold. This week, President Biden, when he was in Poland, said that he did not feel that Putin should be in power. And he got a lot of flack for that. And he came at his press conference either Monday or Tuesday to clarify what he meant. And he still got a lot of flack. And I agree with President Biden. I'm speaking for me. A person like that should not be in power. If you're killing children, bombing maternity wards, and leaving people without the basic necessities of life, you don't need to be in power. What if somebody had said that about um, Hitler or some of the other people in history? So I applaud Joe Biden for standing his ground on that. And that's what I'm going to say about that before we bring on our special guest.
We just, as we continue to move forward in this year, can't believe we're in the fourth month of 2022. Um, we need to keep each other in prayer, but we need to just have some more compassion. We're going to talk about what has happened since we were last on the air. Can't believe so much has happened besides the war. on this side of the planet of the Atlantic, but it's just really unfortunate. I never would have guessed that we, meaning you and I, in our new season, would be even caught saying that we're in a war, that we're witnessing a war. And like you, Kim, it really is sad that Putin does not have I don't know if it's the cognitive ability, because I think that's what it is, or the compassionate ability. Anytime that you bomb children, hospitals, anything, people who are not able to fight back, something is wrong with you. And hell has a special place for him when it's his time. And that's all I'm going to say on that subject.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today, everyone, is World Autism Awareness Day. And we
Yes.
have a special guest that's going to inform us more about autism, how far we've come in the study of autism. So, Karen, would you introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. Let me introduce to some Brian Fleming, who is an engineer by trade. He's from our next door neighbors in Gary, Indiana. But more importantly, he is the founder of MyAutisicChild, a community website for parents and caregivers of autistic children. And he should know because he is the father of an adult autistic son. Please welcome. And let me, for those A5A men out there, I'm sure some A5 Alpha 5 men are out there. Yes, he is an alpha.
Oh, six.
Please welcome this
Oh,
morning, Brian.
six.
Hi,
Thank you, ladies. Thank
Brian.
you. Hi. Thank you,
Hey,
ladies.
Brian.
Hey.
Hey, it's good to
So,
have you here.
yes.
Karen, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, thanks for being here, Brian, especially on this day, World Autism Day. And
Mhm.
I've known you for a while, and I know you've had a journey of raising, because you have two beautiful sons, but your oldest was diagnosed with autism at age 3. So why don't you give our audience, your backstory, and then we can talk about uh, autism awareness.
Thank you, ladies. Well, my son Jason, who is 24 years old now, was born in 1997, and at the age of 3, his speech wasn't coming along like it should. And my wife at the time said that he should be checked out for speech because when I was young, my speech came along slowly because I stuttered and had to have speech therapy. So I was thinking he was more like me. And so I kind of brushed off what she says, like, he's like me. And so I called a speech pathologist, and he suggested instead of bringing him to me, why don't you take him over to your local school district where they have the psychologist and everything on staff, and they can check him out and they can test him. And it's a lot cheaper too. So I took him to the school and they tested him, and they came back with a diagnosis that he was autistic. And in the year 2000, autism was something that was relatively new, really didn't know what that was. And at that time, I think it was 1 in every 300 kids. So that was relatively new. So they had a special program for kids with autism or, any special needs. So he started going to that program at the age of 3. And that was kind of a different thing to go through as a father, because when he was born, your firstborn is a son, you're happy, you're picturing, basketball camp, and I'm going to teach him how to shoot and, all these things. And then this diagnosis of autism comes along. And I remember one day I was in a grocery store, and he was about 3 or 4. He was at home, but something just came upon me that day that I felt a little depressed about my son being autistic, and I didn't know what that meant. And I guess God was talking to me at that time, and there was a lady with a son with Down syndrome at that time or something walked past me. And then I said to myself, well, I better pull myself together because, see, it could be worse.
Right.
And so at the age of 3, so he progressed through school. And for people who really don't understand what autism is, there's a spectrum of autism. Say that when you're driving your car, your speedometer at 100, that's actually normal. And so I would say on a speedometer, my son is about a 65.
Mm.
But you can have different places on the autism spectrum. Somebody who's maybe 40, their child may not speak as much. Some autistic children who are more autistic don't speak. They're what's known as not nonverbal. Fortunately, my son is verbal, but his communication may be a phrase. We're not having a long conversation like you would normally have with a 24-year-old, but he'll answer me. He'll give me the answer in a one phrase, and then that'll be about it. Then I have to ask something else to get him to say something else. Um, Fortunately, he's progressed to the age of 24. He's going to college. He can only take 1 or 2 classes at a time. But a lot of autistic children have some type of uh, thing that they're really good at, some type of talent. And my son is really, really good at art. He won a statewide art contest when he was
Oh,
7 years old. We would go places, and
Excellent.
he would have this drawing board that he could draw things and he could erase and draw things. And we would be at restaurants, and then people would just come and just gather. He would attract crowds, and they would say, "Hey, draw this, draw that." You could draw whatever they asked him to within a few seconds. So that's
wow.
a special talent. So we try to enforce using that special talent. So he's going to Joliet Junior College. He's studying graphic arts,
Mm.
and we'll see where that takes us.
That's awesome. It's interesting you said how you felt when your son was diagnosed. And your son, do you mind giving his name?
Jason,
Jason.
Jason,
When Jason was diagnosed and how you felt. And I remember reading about Rodney Pete, whose oldest son, RJ, is autistic,
RJ, yes,
and how he felt, because he's a big time football player. And not that he wanted RJ to go in the NFL, but just, that rite of passage,
right,
that all fathers, most fathers want for their son.
yes.
Um, so you started your website, and we have the website up. And I have to tell you, that website is amazing. It
Thank
is amazing. So tell, for those of people who haven't gone on it, tell us how you came to form it, and what is your mission?
Well, going through my autism journey, I found that most of the things are geared towards the child. The therapy, the development, and all that stuff. But people don't realize that, the parents are going through this journey too. And
Yes.
not only are they going through that journey, they have other children, they have careers, they have a spouse, they have whatever is going on in their life. And then when they come home, they have a child who's nonverbal, who's given bad behavior, and who some will never find a job. Um, 4 out of 5 autistic adults will never find a job. They'll never live on their own. And one of the things that the parents think, especially once the autistic child becomes an adult, they age out of all of the benefits that they've ever gotten through the state and locally when they reach the age of 22.
Wow.
Now they're 22 years old. They're not going to any therapy. They're not going to any job. They're staying at home, and parents are going through a lot. You know, parents have marital problems, mental health problems, problems with the other children. They're not giving the other children the attention. And so what I wanted to do was have a meeting place where parents can come and meet with other parents going through the same things, and some people who are skilled with autistic children can give them advice on what to do. Because when my child was diagnosed, it was 1 in 300. Now it's like 1 in 60.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
people don't forget that those autistic children going to become autistic
Adults.
and that never stops. And one of the things that parents, we're always thinking this, what's going to happen to my child when I'm not here?
Right.
Because nobody else is going to step in. There's not enough group homes. You age out of the benefits that you get, you know, from the local and the state. So where is my child going to go when I'm not here? And we're not getting younger. And so that's a problem. So I wanted to create MyAutisicChild.com to concentrate on what the parents are going through, because we're going through a lot. And I was fortunate to have his mother. She's a great salesperson, and she knows how to work the system and make phone calls and get all these benefits that I really didn't have to make those phone calls to do. But I realized there's a lot of parents out there of all types of backgrounds that do not have somebody that's a bulldog as far as getting all the benefits and everything. So where do you go? There's a lot of websites, but sometimes it's not a website. Sometimes you just want to talk to somebody or communicate with somebody that's going through the same things, you know. So wanted the website that was geared towards parents.
Say that again.
Wanted a website that was geared more towards parents.
Okay. I want to ask a question based on something you said previously.
Mm-hmm.
You said it used to be 1 in 600. Did I have that statistic right?
I think when my son was diagnosed, it was 1 in 300, and now it's like 1 in 60.
Do you think that because before it was misdiagnosed, or parents were ignoring it, or more people are in the studies?
It was new back in 2000, say back in 1990. You know, autism was probably there, but those people were just called slow.
Mm-hmm.
He's just slow. But then with medical science and everything, you know, kind of catching up, okay, they're not slow, they're autistic. They have a cognitive function that's just not there. And then once that happened, then they can make the awareness to parents, you know, on TV and on radio and on your show, that, hey, if your child's not speaking by the age of 3, if they don't have the eye contact, if they don't have certain things, take them to your local school or someplace. To doctors are more cognitive of that now. When I made the phone call, I had never heard of autism, and the doctor told me to go to the local school, and that's where they came up with the diagnosis. And then I had to go and Google it and read about it. I didn't even know myself. So I think over time it's just progressed.
And I want to ask this question, Brian. I've been reading about autism that affects boys more than it does girls. And
Mhm.
in the Black community, just like anything else, it's a negative stigma when you're if you've had a child that's been diagnosed with autism. How has that affected you as a parent? And then where do you see the strides going forward? I mean, as Kim indicated, Holly Robinson and Rodney Pete have a child. I believe Tony Braxton's one of her children is
Diesel.
autistic.
Diesel.
Diesel is autistic. Where do you see going forward, in autism? The fact that today is World Autism Awareness Day, and then this whole month is dedicated to autism awareness. But the fact that, one, let me just say this, how proud I am of you that you came on our show to talk about
Thank
this,
you.
because
Thank
how we Black folks are very proud people. And anything, we only like to go see therapy. So when you have a child and you think your child is perfect, then you get this diagnosis. So
you.
how have you been feeling, especially now with the pandemic, and I know Jason is continuing to thrive, but how has it been for you in this journey?
Um, as far as the pandemic, my son was very aware. He double masked.
Wow.
Um, Autism. Um, they're very, if you say something, that's what they do. There's no wavering between the lines. If you say wear a mask, he'll wear two masks. So, if you say stay home, he doesn't leave the house. But as far as the Black community, that's one of the reasons I started my AutisticChild.com, is because sometimes people don't know where to go. And you can come on to the website and you can say, hey, I have a child that's 8 years old, or I have a child that's recently diagnosed, and I don't know what's going on. Where do I start? What do I do? And we've all been at that place. We've all been at that point. Um, I don't. I think as far as the Black community, take for example, being in places like on the South Side, where you may not have as many doctors and pediatricians, or people that's even letting people know that their child is autistic. I bump
Right.
into people and be like, oh, yeah, I know Jane and she's got an autistic son. And sometimes their form of therapy is just sticking their child in front of a TV or just letting them play video games. And they never get the therapy or the help that they actually need for them to progress, because they don't know how. They think it costs too much. But a lot of the therapies and a lot of the things going on are state sponsored, and it's free. So that's why you just have to get out there and find out what's going on.
Excuse me. Brian, I saw on your website that you have testimonies from people all over the country. I
Mm-hmm.
saw people in Arizona and in other states. Are you branching it? Do you have anything international, or is it just a national platform?
No, it's all over the world. The good thing about the internet is you can reach the world, and autism is, see, around the world too. If you go on YouTube, there's people in Australia, there's parents in Australia. I watch YouTube videos of parents in different countries, and they're just sitting there just crying because they're thinking of their child and what they're going through. And when you have a child, it doesn't matter where you are. You still feel, for your child, and you feel for yourself. You still have to come home, whether it's a mansion or whether it's a hut, you still have to come home and you love your child, you'll do whatever you want for your child. So no, it's definitely worldwide.
That's awesome.
How is your relationship with your other son and Jason? How are they?
Um, I have a 21-year-old son by the name of Jalen. He's a
Mhm.
mathematics major at Purdue Lafayette. So he's doing well. And I'll tell you, in his junior year of high school, he was applying for colleges, and I decided I was going to take him to dinner, just he and I, because I need to talk to you. And we sat down and talked, and I told him, you have to be the worldly one. You are not going to a local junior college. You're going off because one day you may have to take care of your brother.
Mm.
Mm.
Like I was saying, what's going to happen to my child when I'm not here? So I sat him down and said, hey, you're going to have to be the worldly one. So I want you to figure out where you want to go to college. And you need to find out all the things about this world that you need to find out, because one day you're going to have to help take care of Jason. And I wanted to make sure that he knew that one day that was going to be part of his responsibility. That's part of the reason. And so he decided to go to the University of Utah. And with the pandemic, he needed to come back and be closer. But also, when Jalen was born in 2000, and we took him over to the same school to get tested to make sure he wasn't autistic, and the school and the staff was nice enough, and they had known us. They took him, although they didn't diagnose him as being autistic, they put him also into the program just to monitor him and to test him and make sure that he tested. Also, I took him to different places too. The University of Chicago gave him a diagnosis of Asperger's.
Mm.
Asperger's.
Mhm.
Asperger's is a very, very mild form
Mhm.
of autism where you're really, really bright, but your social skills really aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really, really bright. He's a math major down at Purdue, but socially, he isn't like me. So he tested out of the special ed program when he was like in the third grade. They just wanted to make sure. He tested out in the third grade, but we've always been cognitive of what the possibilities were, especially as he was younger. But also want to say that even though my son is autistic, when we first started out, we would meet once a month with the group. It was a speech therapist, a psychologist, whoever. And they told us when he was 5 or 6 to post these notes, places to remind him to brush his teeth, remind him to take a shower, remind him to do certain things. And when I was younger, because of my speech problem, I went to a rehabilitation center where kids went, that short bus that everybody used to care about, the place where the short bus was. And as a young kid, I saw how these children with different disabilities were just really real people. And so when they were telling me to post these notes of what to do and this will really help them, I sat there in the meeting and I looked at them. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not posting notes. I'm treating my son like he's normal. And if you treat him like he's special, he's gonna act like he's special. So I did that.
Yeah,
They kind of looked at me kind of strange, but hey, that's how it's gonna be. So
I love that. I love that.
but like I said, I'm fortunate that my son is closer to normal on the spectrum. I can't imagine what I would have done if they were more towards the 0 mark. My son can do things for himself. Sometimes I'll be doing stuff and he'll remind me that I forgot to do something. And then I think about it, and then I look and be like, you know what? He's right. I can't forget that stuff. So they're real people. They can't express themselves, and but you just have to like stay in there, and this is a real lifelong journey that you're constantly going through.
One of the things that I've noticed, and I have to applaud you and, of course, your son's mother, you have to be, and this is for any child really, but especially child of special needs, autism, you have to be an advocate for your child,
Yes.
especially if you have a Black child, especially a Black son,
Yeah,
because people write our kids off, especially our Black boys.
absolutely.
And so, I'm not a parent, but I know that being a parent is the toughest job in the world.
Yeah.
And to add on to that, other things. So, for those who have children of special needs, any child,
Hmm.
you have to be an advocate for your child.
Yes. Yes.
You have to do the work that others are not willing to. I remember Holly Robinson Pete, and even as you mentioned before, okay, Tony Braxton. Tony Braxton's son right now is a freshman at Howard University.
Hmm.
And so kids are doing things now. I remember when autism first came out, when they first started talking about it. Kids are doing things now that they never thought that kids would be doing. Holly Robinson Peete said they were told her child wouldn't walk right,
Hmm.
wouldn't talk right, or anything. And now he has a very good job with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Correct.
So when you are an advocate for your child, you
Yes.
can move mountains. You
Yes.
can.
Part of being an advocate for my child was creating MyAutisicChild.com. I've got to do something. I get it going and everything's running fine. That's something he can do because, like I said, four of five autistic children aren't going to find a job. The problem is not keeping the job, but if you have to go through the interview process and then you have to get to the job, you can't drive, you have to have a bus schedule, or you have to be able to take an Uber, but you have to have money to get an Uber. So there's a lot of things, and like I said, once they reach the age of 22 and they age out of a lot of the actual services that they have, you have to find something for them to actually do. Since my son is good at like art and everything, I'm trying to turn his art into like Bitcoin.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Now they have these non-fungible things, but I sat down and I talked to him about that because I read up on it, and I sat down and I talked to him, and he knew more about it than I did. And he started telling me, all the stuff that was going on with it, and he decided he didn't want to do it because he thought it was cheating people out of their money. Which, when I
Wow.
saw it, I thought the same thing. But I said, hey, if people want to, buy it. But it amazed me how when I sat down and talked to him about it, he's like, no, I do not want to do that because it's cheating people out of their money.
Wow.
And I just looked at him and I didn't have anything to say.
Wow.
He was absolutely right. So
That's awesome.
you have to fight for your child. But like I said, we all are not in the same place in life to be able to do that. There's some single mothers out there because it causes a lot of family friction. So when you had your child, you were married, but by the age of 5, you're divorced, and now you're a single mother. Maybe the dad's not around, and so you don't always have the means to go out there and fight for your child. So,
Hmm. Well, I know that we're going to let you go. Karen, did you have any last thoughts so we can let Brian enjoy the rest of his Saturday?
mhm.
Well, Brian, one again, I applaud you for taking this step to help not only just Jason, but all parents who are going through this journey. But what is next for MyAutisicChild.com? What's next for you?
Well, launching during this month, it's a new month. I picked this month to actually launch because it's Autism Awareness Month. And I just want to make sure that your fans who are out there listening can just drop me a line, Brian at myautisicchild.com. And whoever drops me a line from the K and K show will get a free membership and everything.
Oh, wow.
So
Hear
That's
that?
awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome.
and you ladies are like right on time because be honest with you, as Karen and see the power of God is very powerful. And the night before Karen contacted me about being on your show, I was praying about, I need to do some podcasts. And then the next
Wow.
I wake up and there's a message from Karen. I'm like, God is good. God is good.
God is
All
good
the
all the time.
So
Well, whatever we
That's
can do,
awesome.
Brian, don't hesitate to reach out to Kim and I.
thank
And
you.
you got a lot of alpha Kim's brother is an alpha man, so
Mhm.
you got a
No,
lot of men. No, you. I
my brother's
apologize,
Omega.
but no,
you gonna,
you
you
have
gonna
a
get me in a
lot of.
lot of trouble.
That's okay.
Sorry, Reverend
He
Coleman.
wanted to be an alpha. He
You
I
wanted.
got
was
To
an
Reverend
alpha. I was an alpha angel. So
oh,
Okay, there
well,
you
I
go.
like you.
So, no, seriously though, Brian, I know
Mhm.
Alpha Phi Alpha will definitely help in any way, but anytime you want to come back to the show, don't
mhm.
hesitate to reach out. Okay,
Appreciate it, ladies. Thank you very much.
you're
Okay.
welcome.
And
Again,
for
thank
those of
you,
you all,
Brian.
the website is myautisicchild.com. It's right there. Please, even if you don't have an autistic child, go on there and just look to find out information. For those of you all who are hiring people at different companies or have different organizations where you can help, this website is amazing.
It
It is
is.
amazing. And tell your friends and tell your family. Brian, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes.
Hopefully, it's warming up there in my hometown of Chicago. Warm it up for me because I'll be there next weekend.
It's April in Chicago. It's like a box of chocolates out here right now.
I
You
know.
never
That's
know
what
what
you're gonna
you're
get.
gonna get. That's right.
I know. I
That's
know. All right.
All right.
Well, we
that's
will
what I'm
talk to you
here
soon
to
and God
listen.
bless you.
Bye,
Thank you.
Brian.
Bye.
Bye.
Uh,
Oh, I don't want to get your brother in trouble. Please forgive me, Jesus.
she said,
And
she
it's
said,
so funny. You an alpha angel, but I'm an omega sweetheart. Now, how
right,
about that?
right. You said, Kim's brother is the alpha. I'm like, oh my God.
I can see you tomorrow when you go to church. What Karen talking about? She don't know
I remember this one guy came to preach at the church and he was amazing. He was amazing. And so the guy who's in charge of finance is an alpha. So
Okay.
the guy in finance comes to my brother's office and he was like, man, that guy preached. And my brother was like, yeah, he went to this school, he getting his PhD. He goes, there's only one problem though, Calvin. What's the problem? My brother was serious. My brother said, he's an alpha. And there are a lot of Greeks that go to the church. So there's
Yes.
always this back and forth. And so I know this is off topic, but anyway, we had Representation Sunday a few Sundays ago where you can if you went to what college, and most of the people at the church went to HBCUs. There's a prominent HBCU, Langston, here, and people were wearing their paraphernalia from fraternities and sororities as well. So it was, a lot of jabbing back and forth on that issue. So it's always
Morgan
funny.
Coleman, I apologize. Don't get mad at Kim tomorrow when she go to church.
No, he won't,
But you see what color I'm wearing. That's all I'm going to say.
And I'm wearing the alpha color, so
there
it's all
you go.
good. You are welcome to Candid Conversations with K and K. I am Kimberly Coleman. I don't even think I introduced myself. This cold has got me foggy. I am Kimberly Coleman of Sister Girl Speaks. Right next to me is the lovely and gorgeous Karen of Karen's Nuggets, always looking fabulous this morning in my home city. Make sure I'm not going to eat as much as I did last time. I will be in Chicago next weekend. But I do have some things on my to-do list.
Yes, I'll be checking on it, y'all, because we want to make sure.
I'm not gonna eat. I'm really clowned.
Okay.
Yeah, I clowned last, but it had been a while since I've been in my home city.
I understand that, but you got it all in moderation, Kim. All in moderation.
No Harold's chicken. It was the Harold's chicken. It was the Harold's chicken.
No Harold's chicken when you get here next
Harold.
week. All right, because I'm gonna be texting you, but make sure you're in no Harold's chicken. Now, before we get, because we got plenty of time now to talk about what everybody and their mama's been talking about these last 7 days. And how do we get started? Because we ended our show last week on a high note, even though you were going to the New Edition, Jodeci, Uncle Charlie Wilson concert. I had an event with our big brother, Mr. Art Chat Daddy Sims, and we typically watch the Academy Awards every year, right? So we're thinking, not to say we were going to get a chance to catch all the replays on that Monday, and I was able to get home just to, that was like an hour to spare. I know Kim was at the concert, and so I'm coming home thinking, all right. The one, because every year with the Academy Awards, I like to see them in memoriam segment because it's always very poignant to me. Because when you watch the show, the first award they give is what? Best Supporting Actress.
Right. Can I give a timeout? Just one timeout?
Go.
Can I do a timeout?
Go.
If the Culture concert is coming to your town, go to the concert. Because I know I'm going to forget that. New Edition, Charlie Wilson and Jodeci. It's called the Culture Tour. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I just wanted to say that because I know I would forget. Go ahead.
Okay. So I get a chance to get home. And of course, one of the categories I really had hoped would win was Best Documentary with Summer of Soul. So who gets out to present that award? None other than comedian Chris Rock. So Chris Rock comes out in his beautiful velvet tuxedo, doing his little monologue. And then he talks about Jada. And what he said about Jada being her in G.I. Jane. For those who haven't seen the movie, G.I. Jane was with Demi Moore, where she actually shaved her head to be part of the Navy SEALs. Well, a lot of people didn't know, and apparently Chris didn't know, that Jada suffers from alopecia. So when he made a joke about Jada, it was like slow motion had happened, time lapse. Because the moment he said it, camera panned to her reaction, which she wasn't happy. Her husband, who was up for a Best Actor award, we all know, for King Richard, he laughed, he turned. Next thing you know, he gets up and he pimp slaps, cold cocks Chris Rock. And then turns around and sits his butt back down. Now, we know what's happened. If you don't know, we're going to tell you what's happened since all that took place almost 7 days ago. But we coined it, a lot of people have coined it, the slap that was heard around the world. Now, both Kim and I are going to talk about what we think what happened and what should have happened and what since has happened since the slap was heard around the world. But I'm going to let Kim give her perspective on the slap that was heard around the world.
Well, everybody's dissected this, and I'm not going to go through what's happened and everything. As of right now, the Board of Governors is going to meet, has met already, and is giving Will Smith till the 15th to make his case known. And just to do a little backtrack, Will Packer, the police came after that slap and asked Chris Rock if he wanted Will arrested. And Chris Rock was very adamant to the point he wasn't listening to the cops, to the point that Will Packer had to tell him to be quiet and let them say their piece. And Chris Rock was very adamant about Will not getting arrested. And I have to give Chris Rock credit for that, because another, black man in the police in Los Angeles is a time old story.
That's right.
Going back to the 40s.
That's right.
And that would be the worst thing for LAPD to arrest a black man because another black man had him arrested.
Yes.
Even though Chris was well in his rights to do so.
Absolutely.
Well in his rights. But
Absolutely.
Kudos to Chris for that. Kudos to Chris also for not exploiting this on his tour. He says he's still trying to process it.
Right.
He could have gone, because he could have gone really crazy. He had a concert in the Bronx, I think, on Monday. He had two.
In Boston.
He had two. And he could have gone ham, as the kids say. And he did not. Yeah. He said he'd be talking about it in the future, but he's not going to. Kudos to him for that. I mean, this whole thing should not have happened. But what it has shown is the class act that Chris Rock is. I mean, the class act that he is.
And the opposite about Will Smith. And see,
right. And most people would have thought differently.
Right. And here's
most people would have thought differently.
And here's also, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. His wife, Jada, has some responsibility. Because when you're married, your partnership, you are, and like everything else, you're also a brand. My sister, my podcasting sister Girl Speaks, Miss Kim Coleman, she's a brand. Karen's Nuggets is a brand. When you get married to your significant other, y'all a partnership. The moment Will Smith got his tail up, she could have given him a look and said, sit your butt down.
And there was another angle where if somebody took her from behind and Chris says, I just got smacked by Will Smith, and and Jada starts laughing.
Exactly.
So what I'm wondering is, this is what I'm wondering, because I've had a chance to think about this. Did Jada think, because this was before, she laughed before Will said, keep your name out of my your effing mouth. Did she think it was a bit?
I don't know. She couldn't have. Because
I don't know. Why would she laugh like that?
Well, and I don't want to hear it's involuntary. I just believe, as I said, there has to be responsibility in all ends. And the reality is this, Kim, both Jada and Will and their children and Chris, for a matter of fact, they all need some therapy.
Well, Chris has been in therapy. Chris was in therapy.
In therapy.
Yeah, there's a interview that he did with Gail a few months ago, where he said he was in therapy 7 days a week for a matter of months. So Chris has been doing the work.
And it's
and
sad. I want to say this. It's sad that both Chris, who has suffered from trauma as a boy, as well as Will, suffered from trauma as a young boy. But the thing about it, and I know what you may gonna be alluding to, when you're a couple, if you're gonna put out there that you have an open marriage, keep your stuff private. I was not even aware that a legendary couple, Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, had open marriage. Had no idea. And they were married for how many years? Long time. None. But it was rumored that they had an open marriage. You never knew that because what? They kept their stuff private.
Until they released their book near the end, near the
their end of their lives. That's right. That's right.
If you look on Apple TV, for those of you who have it, and look at an interview that Will Smith did with Oprah when his book came out, which was late last year.
Right.
He said that there are two women that he has never failed: his grandmother and Willow. And he talks about how he failed his mom for he felt he didn't protect her, and now sometimes he hasn't protected Jada. And I think when I was watching that interview, I was like, okay. Also, when they first started dating, he says they would drink and have sex. They would every night for a matter of months. And it almost became a competition. That interview with Oprah really made me understand what happened Sunday night. Not justifying it, but understanding it. Will has never felt that he deserves or is up to par to have a Jada Pinkett Smith. Even though she put her career, because she's talked about this, in the back burner, she's a very strong-willed woman from Baltimore. Even though he's from West Philadelphia, Will has always been considered. I mean, think about it. When Pierce, he was considered soft, and he talks about that. And they got a lot of flack because around that time, gangster rap was coming out.
Right, I remember.
And people were like, it was him and Hammer, Kid and Play, and some other people, and they were like, "Oh, y'all soft," and NWA and all these other people. So Will has never felt up to par. Because if you look at him after that slap, he takes his vest, pulls it down like, "I'm the man."
Right. I saw it.
He was out of himself. Because there's no way that you could be at the Oscars and think that it's okay to go on stage and slap somebody. So as it is, right. So the Oscars gave him until the 15th. Now, people say, who are the board of governors? There's a mix of people within the industry. So let me give you some names. Whoopi Goldberg, Rita Wilson, who's married to Tom Hanks, Ava DuVernay, my namesake, Kim Coleman, who is a casting director, Ruth Carter, who is a costume person, who's worked on many Spike Lee's movies, the first African-American woman to win an Oscar. She won it for Black Panther.
Costume design.
Gentleman who used to be married to Megan Good. That was a surprise.
Right.
Devin Franklin.
Devin Franklin, yes.
Wynn Thomas, who did a lot of the sound. I'm talking about the African-American people, except for Rita Wilson, who are on the board. There's some other people who have produced movies who many of you all know, directors. I can't think of a prominent director besides Ava DuVernay at the top of my head. You can Google it. These are the people that are making the decisions. Kay mentioned to me yesterday that we haven't heard from a lot of prominent actors and actresses. What I'm thinking is these are people who are a part of the Academy voting, who vote with the Academy. And they may have gotten an email or a text that's saying, everybody be quiet until this is resolved, because you don't want to open yourself up to any lawsuits or anything like that. So that may be why you haven't heard from these prominent people, because this is a voting group of people. Okay.
And speaking of this, what up to date, Will has resigned his membership from the Academy Arts and Motion Picture Sciences. So, which means if he does movies, he can still be nominated, which he can,
Okay,
but
I didn't
he
know if he
doesn't
could be nominated.
can't be nominated. But
Okay.
he don't get all the perks of being a member of the Academy.
Okay.
So, everybody wanted to say he should give up his Oscar. No, he earned
No,
that.
he earned that. No, he earned that.
He was already
Yes,
pulled upon. He earned that.
right.
Now, the perk would be, as a member of the Academy, it's always customary and tradition that the following year, the previous award recipient will announce he probably will not be asked to come back. So this, there's a saying, for every action, there is a reaction. And unfortunately, he didn't think it through when he did this reaction. And now he has to suffer the consequences. It's unfortunate all the way around because it overshadowed so much what happened that night. Tim mentioned earlier, Will Packer, who produced a phenomenal broadcast. We had the first deaf actor to win a Best Supporting Actor. I'm sorry, I can't remember his
Coda.
name. Coda.
Oh yeah.
For
Yeah.
Ariel DuBose, who was the first Afro-Latina queer to win her Best Supporting Oscar. Of
Excuse me.
course, Summer of Soul with Amir Questlove winning Best Documentary. There's just so much that has happened that
The honorary Oscars.
the
The
honorary
honorary
Oscar,
Oscars
thank you,
for
to
Danny
our
Glover.
Danny Glover and Sam Jackson, which was presented to by Denzel and Alfre Ward's respectively. So much had happened that night, but it was all overshadowed by that one moment in time that really, when we're in our 80s, and then we're gonna be remembering this. We're not when we think, I said, Kim, you remember the 22 Oscars? You're like, yeah, when Will Smith smacked the shit out of Chris Rock. That's all people are gonna remember. They're not gonna remember everything else. So I'm really hoping that Will and Jada, as well as Chris, but particularly Will and Jada, they have a combined net worth of $400 million. Y'all need to go buy an island, remain there for at least 2 years, do some good, get some therapy, and come back stronger. And
stay off that red table.
And get off, definitely, Jada, get off that red table. Yeah.
So let me, before you give your nugget, Kay, let me get candid for a moment. We all go through various things in life. We're all going to make mistakes. That's a part of life. But as God grows you in your life, be prepared. Be prepared. So, 2 weeks ago, I had an audition for a part that I really, really wanted. I really wanted this part. And I knew about this part for almost a year. Had the script, everything. So I just knew that I would get it. I worked with my acting coach on and off, looked at the script. But I said, and I've been told that I have acting talent. Okay. So I, didn't memorize what I should have memorized. And the reason I didn't, because I said, I'm in Oklahoma City. I'm not in Chicago or DC or New York. There's, competition. And I wasn't prepared. So when I got the news that I didn't get it, I was devastated and thought of all the reasons why, outside of myself, why I didn't get it. And then God sat me down and said, you know why you didn't get that part. And it's all your fault because you were not prepared and you got arrogant. You are not Viola Davis yet. So I say all of that to say, um, be prepared to be great. If you want to be great and you want to do great things, humble yourself, pray, and be prepared. I have an audition at the end of this month, so guess what? I'm going to be prepared.
Amen.
And
Amen. Well,
mm-hmm.
before in the show with with the nugget, not only this month, April is Autism Awareness Month. This month is also Sexual Assault Awareness Month and National Literacy Awareness Month. So take the time to know more about these particular topics. We are going to be coming back on the 16th, and we're going to have a special guest because this also recognizes certain plant this month on 420. That's all I'm going to say. But here's the nugget that a lot of people like for me to give. And it just says this: don't wait for things to get better because life will always be complicated. Learn to be happy right now. Otherwise, you'll run out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Saturday.
Saturday.
Hashtag be better now.
Yep. The Bible says, Paul says, I've learned to be content in all things. I believe that is the Bible verse. I've learned to be content in all things. Again, you all, we are praying for Ukraine. We are praying
Yes.
for Ukraine. And we will keep this banner up until that situation is over. We are praying for Will, Jada, and Chris Rock. We are
Yes.
keep them in prayer as we pray
Please
for our
do.
families, as we pray for everything. But keep those people in prayer. There's a lot of pain there.
Yes, there
You
is.
know, we think that money can solve all problems, and as Sammy Davis Jr. said, it makes a hell of a down payment on it. But you have to be, as I said, prepared and prayed
That's
up.
right.
Prayed up.
That's right.
Jesus in therapy will take you a long way. Jesus
Amen.
in therapy. So with
Amen.
that, happy April. We will not be here next week. I will be in Chicago trying not to eat up the city. And unfortunately, I won't see my friend Kay. I got a lot going on that weekend. But we will be back the weekend after that. We are praying for you. We are praying for you. We are praying whatever situation you are in that it gets better. We are praising God. We are praising Him for the wonderful things that He is doing. And we are pushing. We are pushing towards the goals that we want. Pray, praise, and push. I'm Kimberly Coleman. That's Karen of Karen's Nuggets. We out of here, y'all. Happy Saturday.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.